Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. The head of Marvel Television just revealed details on the new Nova series that they're working on and confirms a lot of fan theories going back to the events of Marvel Phase 3 movies and how Thanos will become responsible for the creation of the new Nova character. It's been a long time since I've talked about Nova, but I remember some of you in the comments way back in the day had similar theories about how Thanos would be connected to all this, so we'll break it all down. Deadpool tickets are also going to be on sale tomorrow as of me posting this video, so I'll start doing a ticket giveaway again in this video like I used to do all the time. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and post all your reactions to this new Nova series in the comments. Recently, if you have not seen the head of Marvel's new TV division, Brad Winterbaum, he's also the guy who's been doing all the X-Men 97 reveals for Season 2, Season 3, and beyond. He's also the same guy who confirmed Marvel just officially canonized all the Netflix Defenders shows to the MCU when they rebooted the reboot of Daredevil Born Again. You heard that right, Marvel rebooted the Daredevil show twice. He confirmed a couple of Nova things. They decided to turn Nova into a series, not a movie. There'd been a big question about that for a while, and it would primarily follow the Sam Alexander version of Nova, but they'd also be incorporating the original Richard Rider Nova too. Like, they wouldn't be skipping over Richard Rider. I know that'll make all you longtime Nova fans out there way happier. They're not going to skip out on Richard Rider. But it does sound like they'll be changing a lot of their backstory. So if you weren't a fan of Sam Alexander and the way Marvel introduced him back in the comics, based on what they're saying now, they'll be changing that to make it way better. Marvel typically changes a lot of the comic book plot to sort of fit in with what they've previously done in the movies. This is actually a rare opportunity for them to fix a lot of mistakes they made when they introduced the Sam Alexander originally in the comics. The head of Marvel TV also said, "It's new territory for us, developing more shows than we produce. Nova is certainly exciting to us. We've gotten some great ideas simmering. I think there's a lot of potential there. I love Nova, also from the comics, especially the Richard Rider era. We'll see what happens. Like you said, there's only so many release slots in the schedule, but we want to make sure everything we make is as good as it could possibly be. But I will say this is a particular project we're excited about and excited about developing." So he mentions like 10 different things packed into that. What he means is they don't know exactly when it's going to be released because they have so many other shows that they're working on right now, just talking about the TV shows themselves, and they've changed their release schedule so they're only doing 3 movies per year in about 2 shows, maybe a little bit more if you include animated shows and animated movies, everybody hoping for an X-Men 97 animated movie. But Marvel made a bunch of changes about the way they develop new projects, like they'll develop a bunch of stuff and only the best stuff will wind up getting made, as opposed to what they did before where they would just automatically greenlight stuff. But here's the thing, and a lot of you probably figured this out when they started announcing all these Nova plans. Marvel already set up the new Nova series perfectly with all the Marvel Phase 3 movies several years ago in What Happened with Thanos. One of the big things they've always at least tried to do is use the consequences of previous movies, events, to set up future plot. So this is how they set Nova up perfectly and why Thanos is responsible for the creation of the new Nova. Way back during Avengers Infinity War, Marvel created a totally different intro to the beginning of that movie. In the theatrical version we all saw, it starts with Thanos already having the Power Stone attacking Thor's Asgardian ship. He takes the Space Stone from Loki, kills him, kills another half of the Asgardians, and teleports away to get the Reality Stone from the Collector. The deleted scene at the beginning of the movie was going to feature Thanos assaulting Xandar in the Nova Corps to take the Power Stone. It would have been a huge battle, very expensive too, giving you an idea for why they decided to delete it. According to Marvel, as part of that story, Thanos wiped the entire Nova Corps, mowed through them to take it, but would have eventually revealed Richard Rider would have been the sole survivor of the attack. He would have spent the rest of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame then trying to get revenge on Thanos. Flowing with his powers in the Nova Force from the comics, they kind of got into this during What If Season 2 with the Xandarian World Mine, their giant supercomputer beneath the planet's surface. In the comics, the Nova Corps draw their power from their helmets that tap into the Xandarian World Mine, accessing a portion of the Nova Force, just in small amounts though, because you have legions of Nova Corps members. They were going to explain that after Thanos kills pretty much all the Nova Corps, all that power from the Xandarian World Mine and the Nova Force doesn't need to be divided amongst legions of people anymore. Richard Rider just gets the full power himself, turning him more into comic book Nova. Per their story notes, he was supposed to show up again during the final battle in Avengers Endgame with the Nova Force. That's why the Russos had that funny comment about Nova being in the background, like, check it out, it's an Easter egg, zoom and enhance.
Macho Man, Russo Brothers, how do you guys not have any Nova Corp member in a fight against Thanos? Love the movie, but just boggles my mind. Didn't even have to be Richard Rider. I look closely at that scene again, and you will see.
There are thousands of people.
Yeah, you will see Richard Rider in the background of a shot. Easter egg.
They were already going to do a version of this early on, but then they pivoted to the Captain Marvel character, so they removed Richard Rider from the final battle, and because they weren't going to bring him back, it didn't make sense to introduce him in a longer, really expensive battle scene at the beginning of Infinity War. But the whole plot is still there, like they still have the story, and Marvel has a history of taking deleted scenes from previous movies and incorporating them into future plot in slightly different ways. Some of you might even remember that they actually name-dropped Mephisto connected to the Infinity Stones way back during the first Avengers movie, but if you go back and you watch it now, they've since removed that because they got rid of the Mephisto plot during the whole Infinity Gauntlet storyline that they adapted for Infinity War. Now it seems like in one of these new projects, Marvel's going to be bringing Mephisto back. But because Marvel said that they'd also be adapting the Sam Alexander character too, like the younger version of Nova, they can actually just use their Nova origin story for Richard Rider to also fix Sam Alexander's comic book backstory. His introduction in the comics was kind of controversial. He wasn't a very popular character when he was introduced. The real-life story behind his creation is very tragic. In real life, Jeff Loeb, who used to run Marvel TV before Kevin Feige wiped their group, then recreated it, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel Netflix-era Marvel TV. He's probably even more well-known as a longtime comic book creator, like he's done a lot of great stuff. His most famous stuff, probably Batman Long Halloween and Batman Hush at DC. But he's done a ton of Marvel comics over the years, and when he created the Sam Alexander character at Marvel, his real-life son had just passed away. His name was Sam Alexander. So he created the new, younger Nova, named after him to honor his son. Normally, this is actually be a really good thing, but the reason why a lot of longtime Nova fans of Richard Rider were not a huge fan of Sam Alexander was because of the way Marvel introduced him. Originally, Sam Alexander had absolutely nothing to do with Richard Rider. There was zero connection between the two of them, even though there was this long history of Richard Rider and the Nova Corps in the comics. But at the time, Marvel editorial apparently felt like they'd had enough of Richard Rider, like the sales weren't doing what they wanted to do. They wanted to refresh the character and introduce like a completely new version of Nova. So Jeff Loeb comes along, his son passes away, and there's an opportunity to honor him by naming the new Nova after his son. But what Marvel editorial did at the time was instead of connecting Richard Rider's legacy to this Sam Alexander new version of Nova, Marvel just killed off Richard Rider in the Thanos Imperative storyline and then introduced Sam Alexander, who had zero connection or references to Richard Rider. Sam Alexander's father was a totally different member of the Nova Corps named Jesse, so what Marvel can do with the Nova series now in present day, if they want to mostly follow the Sam Alexander character, is by having Richard Rider just become his mentor, which they should have done originally in the comics. They can still say Sam Alexander's father was killed when Thanos attacked the Nova Corps and his father's helmet just came to Earth finding him as his successor, and because he and Richard Rider are now the only people drawing power from the Xandarian world mind, that makes them vastly more powerful. Then Marvel can still have Richard Rider off trying to rebuild the Nova Corps on Xandar, crossing over with future Marvel movies based in space or other events that they want, other series, while Sam Alexander stays on Earth and crosses over with the younger Marvel characters, which is pretty much what he did in the comics. The only reason Marvel would want to introduce the Sam Alexander character at this point is to put him on that Young Avengers team and try to bring in a younger audience. He was on Miss Marvel's Champions team in the comics, but in the MCU, they're just having her create the Young Avengers and they're combining the Champions roster with the Young Avengers roster. Josh Brolin also revealed that Marvel is planning on bringing back Thanos in different types of projects. This would be a way to bring back an adult version of Thanos that doesn't completely trample on the ending of Avengers Endgame, just because it's him in the past, like you're showing a flashback to the origin of Richard Rider's Nova and Sam Alexander's Nova. Usually when I think about Marvel bringing versions of Thanos back in new Marvel projects, it's like younger versions of Thanos for like way further Thanos flashback, especially back when they were still planning on sequels to the Eternals movie. Now it sounds like they're moving those characters to other projects, so if we see young versions of Thanos, it would probably be in those other projects. But everyone post all your reactions in the comments below, and what do you want them to do with this Nova series? Like, it's basically wide open territory. There's just a lot more space-based stuff it seems like Marvel's slowly pushing into in the next couple of years. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. Marvel just showed off a bunch of Daredevil Born Again footage at their recent Upfronts event. I'll try to do a breakdown of that in the next couple of days. There's also going to be a new Deadpool and Wolverine trailer tomorrow, so of course I will do a video for that as quickly as possible. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for that new Deadpool and Wolverine video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my X-Men 97 episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.